Oh, wow. What a great bunch of films that was. I'm glad there was a spontaneous round of applause. If there hadn't been, I was going to suggest there was. But can I just suggest we do have another round of applause? If you made one of those films, please clap yourself. If you didn't, clap the people who did. And if you did, clap the other people who did. Because I thought they were all magnificent. I feel better in, I don't know, all sorts of ways for having seen them. I think they're films that make us think, films that make us feel, and yeah, lots to consider. So thank you to everyone who did make one of those films. And what I'm going to do now is say, of those people gathered here, could you please put your hand up if you are one of the directors? And I will attempt to see you. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wonderful. Could I have you up here, please, in the order in which your films showed? So that will begin us with Kino. Yes. Come and have a pew.
Hi, I'm Kino. I'm the director of Porter, which I think the title wasn't shown, but it's the weird one with the both hands on the water. That's me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was really good to see it. Great to see it on the large screen,
Yes.
and to hear the sound over a good system as well. There were certainly some elements of the score that I appreciated hearing it, you know, with a bit more volume and a bit better quality sound than kind of just on the TV.
Yes, definitely. And I think that film was never really screened the big screen, so it was definitely a first. And even I personally haven't watched the film for about a year. And so it was really great to be able to see it and hear the sound. And yeah, thank you.
There was a theme that I had in my mind as I was watching all the films, which was that for all filmmakers, but particularly I think for filmmakers who are just starting out or who are operating on a small budget, filmmaking is very much a question of what is possible and what can you do with the resources that you have. So a question that I want to ask all filmmakers is, was there a particular challenge that you felt you overcame and that you were proud of overcoming, or a problem that needed to be solved in the making of your film?
So that was my first film. I only made two so far because I'm a musician and I've always been. And so for me, definitely I have the idea in my mind of hands on the water, but even have that happen was quite hard. It was my own pair of hands, and we filmed in Taiwan, so I had to be in the bathtub for basically many hours just to get a good shot. And we were really trying our best to experience on the spot to see how the water flow and how the color can be changed. We put some red inks into the water. That's when the color is changing, and also how when it all turns dark. By the end, there was this camera light. We didn't expect that to be there as well, but it turned out to be great. So yeah, I think it just overall turned out to be better than I thought, because I was basically just experienced with the process itself, and the music kind of come afterwards to feed the picture, but basically have this arc of going chaos and come back to the calmness. Thanks.
Could I ask, is there anyone with a question for Kino? Yes, one at the back. A microphone will visit you shortly.
Hi. You just said that the music came afterwards to feed the picture. So I just wanted to ask, so you had the idea of the film first, and then you created the music in that way to, exactly as you said, to feed the picture? Or did you already have sort of the song, or was it the other way?
So I have kind of what kind of emotion I want to have for both the picture and the music. So basically, I have the broad idea of I want it to be quite chaotic and coming to more in harmony, even though it's still quite noise based. but there was this feature piano song that actually kind of putting into loop again and again. In by the end of the film, it's feature one of my solo piano piece called Ugly Faces, but basically it's about the idea of you thought someone or something might be beautiful, but if you keep visiting again, actually you can see something underneath that's actually quite ugly. And once you see, you cannot really unsee it. And basically, I created a film right after I divorced, so hence hence the experience. Yeah. So it was. I have some ideas that's more clear, but I wanted to make them more abstract, so it can be more of a shared experience for everyone to experience. Thanks.
It's just interesting that you say it because when I was watching it, I was asking myself, is this birth or is this death? You know, maybe it was even both of
Yeah,
them.
it was
you know?
definitely both.
Yeah, I also got divorced, so that's really interesting from you to
Yes,
hear.
divorce
So.
God. Yes.
Divorced people unite. Well, it's a beautiful way. It's a nice, trick way.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's like a painting almost.
Yeah, I was trying to really be as abstract as possible. It's just about the image and the sound because I know my strength is not the plot. It's really just the image in my head and the noise that I can do basically.
It's maybe not so stupid now. Now we all know that it was after your divorce, but you said like I had always this image of my hands.
Yeah.
Was it before already?
I think it's always because I'm a pianist, so I think I see my
Makes
hands a
sense.
lot.
Makes sense.
So almost I see my hands probably more than my face. So I think it was quite a direct instinct connection of, this is my life, this is how I live. And the whole film it's about hands, palms up, meaning like receiving, from life, what life dropping on me and how I'm going to take it. And back then I definitely took it in more of the darker way, but
Yeah.
I later on have like another chapter of my life when I feel hopeful. I added like another movement basically, but it wasn't in it. It was more like experience, still trying to take it in basically.
It's wonderful to hear about how you saw the things. For me, it was like I was enjoying the music, but I was like, no, I was not picturing the emotion what was meant to be expressed. So it's wonderful to have you here and explain.
Thank you.
for that.
Yes, I think it's also quite. I think without explanation, it can be, a lot of question there. So I'm also happy to be here to be able to deliver more of the direct thoughts behind the scene. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kino. That's marvellous. Could Paula come up, please?
She's gonna join me
Yeah,
because she's
yeah.
the dancer. Thank you. Hi, thank you. I don't know.
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hello, so you're Paula, and
I'm Paula.
you directed Isolation Terminal.
Yeah, Isolation Terminal, the one that you can see the dancer. and
And you
Christina.
were one of our dancers. Brilliant. Thanks for coming. Let me think. So yes, the same question. If I can be terribly original, what was a particular challenge that you had to overcome that was particularly pleasing to overcome?
To be honest, I think the more difficult for us was we made that idea just after the pandemic, where we were in isolation stage for a long time. After that, we spent at least 6 months meeting together to make this choreography. And during that time that we spent like a couple of hours every like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we spent 1 hour just dancer and 1 hour just crying and sharing all the emotions that we have inside of us, and was kind of healing process to us. And yeah, I think it was the building, all the process behind the scenes, like when you are building an idea that is quite inside of you, I think. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, I guess I was part of the kind of choreography process, and as Paula said, it was really kind of coming out of lockdown and trying to process that kind of process of being in yourself and the kind of internal fights that we experience. And so having the direction of Paula of these are the emotions that I wanted to portray through dance was very, very challenging, but also very therapeutic. So I feel really grateful to have been part of that process.
Speaking as someone who is neither a choreographer nor a cinematographer, I was wondering whether or not the camera work was choreographed as such, because clearly in that piece, the thing that comes across strongly is how dynamic the camera is and how the movement of the camera interacts with the movement of the dancers. So what was there a choreography process?
Well, basically, I was just behind of the camera person, so I was directing the camera how to need to go and flow basically with them. So we have a really solid choreography, just a couple of moments when they can go with the flow and dance in a joy moment. But the majority of the choreography was already in set, so we know where we need to go. And there are a lot of cuts in the middle, so we just were selecting the part that we really need to tell the story. And I know that it's quite tricky to get the story behind of this short film because it's quite experimental and you can see them dancing in a really like angry and anxiety process. But it's talking about mental health and it's going through a journey of what's the challenge that we have in our mind. Basically, when you are hungry, the majority of the time you are hungry with yourself and you are fighting. The majority of the time, I think we are fighting just with ourselves because we are not happy with a part of us. And this is basically why we select a couple of dancers that they perform like the same choreography, and they are like basically in the same room, different time, and it's not just until the end when we can see them together and hugging together. And for me, that was the moment where you make the peace with yourself, when you recognize yourself, your vulnerability, and you can basically keep going. So it's the duality. I think it's something like the duality of everyone has inside.
Do we have any questions at all?
What about the choice for
People can listen to what
Hello, hello, hello. Yeah. What about the choice of the music? Why so eclectic?
So we are both based in Bristol, and it's well known for its music scene. And so we essentially just found a female producer, listened to some of her songs, and Paula chose the track. We met up with her and then went from there.
Yeah, we thought that the rhythm and the bass of the music can help to show up this kind of journey that the dancer have. So go like in starting with the birth and then go to kind of experiment their bodies and try to discover how their bodies move and then go to the whole, no? Like go down and then go to a piece. So we thought that can follow the track and the sentimental journey that we want to cross.
Hello? Yeah, hello. What do you have to be when you struggle? When you have this struggle inside of yourself? What is needed?
You mean when what that came from or
You know?
um
Unity? Why not make it?
well I think after the pandemic, and this is quite personal, but I sharing with other people, I think we were more or less in the same page. We start to making a lot of questions about ourselves, also about or this kind of automacy. You say automacy when you are going and you don't look. What are you doing basically, and you don't think about your decisions. So for me, I start a process of thinking about myself and if I want to keep doing in the same way or if I want to just restart basically. And to do this restart with myself, I really need to talk with myself and go through this kind of journey, which is like fighting with myself first, and then have a conversation with myself, and then hack myself and accept myself. So it's like if you can see the otherness that we have.
Then you have to be honest.
Yeah.
So it can be naked. I don't miss it. But it was just a question of me.
Consider.
I was considered perhaps in the process of development. Did you have a discussion about right?
Should we?
Should we be naked? Yes or no? While dancing and coming from this project process with ourselves, with the COVID, with the isolation, with two female persons being in a room locked up, searching for yourself, to be honest with yourself, to have that struggle, to let it feel, to share it.
Yeah.
Maybe you did it cross your mind to do it.
Well, it was a question that at some point came up, but to be honest, I didn't think that that is important because it's more like a journey of ourselves. It's something that is inside. So
But it's a metaphor. Okay, it's inside.
yeah,
Alright.
we could do it, but at the same time, we think that that maybe was a distracted from the purpose of the film.
Nice. It could be a distraction. So this is why I asked. Nice.
I support the idea that
Yeah,
could
me
have
too.
been distracted.
Voilà. It's nice you did like this. But, I was interested in the process.
What if I propose you to do it? This one, Nuggets, you will able to do it.
I work in a secondary school, so probably not. And also, I guess there's a question around where that film would be allowed to be shown. Yeah, she said.
Would it tell the same story?
Yeah.
Would it tell the same story? It's a,
I think people can be honest with their clothes on.
Of course.
I think it's a possibility, even in a metaphorical universe. I think you
It was
can
the final answer.
clothes and be honest.
And I sort of wonder whether that question would have been posed if it was men in their pants.
You were talking about wanting a musician who like reflected the Bristol scene. Am I right in thinking you filmed that in Hamilton House? Yeah, which for folks who don't know is like a real big community space in Bristol. It's a big part of Bristol's identity. Did you feel like a very strong sense of localism when you were making it? Like you wanted to express the feel of where you were?
The editor and DOP of that film, Malva Soler, she was working at that time, and she's still working on the clubbing and all the movement that emerged in the clubbing. So she was very into it to do something that can connect with this part when we are dancing and when we go to places on night and clubbing. The people can be more free to show their bodies, to show more movement, to be closer to other in a way that we don't used to show in reality and the society usually. So yeah, I guess it's influence of that. Of course.
Any further questions? No? That's fine. Thank you ever so much. So of course we can all have further chit chat afterwards. Can I ask Felix to come forward, please?
We have a 15-minute.
Hi, Felix. You made brown bread.
yeah, I did.
You did. Firstly, of all the films we saw, it felt perhaps the most colour coded. It's got a very, very distinct palette, and you've sort of continued that in your outfit. Was that a palette that you went with because you like those colours, or because you felt it was suitable for the theme? Did it come into your sort of notions of what the passing place would look like?
I think I just live like this. I think, yeah, I like warm colours. There's not a lot. There's not a lot of much more to it, really. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I just like warm colours, and I like those textures, and I think let them make
Entirely. I mean, it gives it a very welcoming feel. I think the film, because it could be very sort of discordant, but I think the sheer warmth of the palette kind of has quite an effect on the feel. It feels quite friendly, given how it's portraying quite a sort of dislocating kind of experience, and certainly experience that none of us can really have a direct understanding of or appreciation of, but we can imagine. Was there a particular challenge that you had to overcome, either technical or logistical or creatively?
I mean, it was a uni project. It was my last project at uni, so
The deadline, I guess.
yeah, I think working on a time scale, working in my bedroom. I think I didn't really have access to specialist equipment, so I was working with analog film for the first time, so I had to. Me and my dad repaired a 16mm film projector so that I could project the material that I had and film that. But I mean, he did most of the work. I was helping remotely via looking at it on FaceTime. But yeah, I think technical stuff was probably I enjoyed making it, so it wasn't really a slog apart from having the ability to do so.
That must be a good thing to really enjoy the thing that you're doing, because there's a bit of a stereotype of sort of the tortured artist kind of having to extract a piece of work out of the sort of depths of their soul. So it's good to know that you enjoyed it. Did you set out with a particular narrative in mind, or were you sort of being quite exploratory, seeing where it took you?
I didn't really have a narrative per se. I think that I had a lot of footage and I like editing, so I wanted to have a very basic plot, a very very loose framework that would mean that I could just edit footage together and have it have it evolve over time. I didn't have shoots. I didn't have. It was more like collecting things and then putting them together. So yeah, there wasn't really a plot deliberately. The middle section was that framing part, and then the rest of it was then kind of structured around the poem, just to help it kind of have a bit of movement rather than just images. But yeah.
Did anyone have any questions for Felix?
Hi, I've got two questions. The first one, not to put you on the spot, but this is just to help me understand it a bit more. Do you think a lot about death?
Yes, but not in a. Yeah, I'm writing a. I'm doing a master's at the minute, and I'm writing about ghosts. So um, through necessity, yes, but not. I'm not a morbid person. Um, but yeah.
I mean, I don't think you have to be to think about it. It's, you know, part of life. But you actually kind of already answered my second question. I was going to say that I think death is sort of, as a theme, something you can endlessly explore. And I was going to ask if, yeah, if you were going to continue exploring it, but I guess you are. And then also if death for you was sort of the theme in this film that you connected to the most, or if it was another element such as memory seems to be a big part of the film. Just, yeah, what was the theme sort of that was most prevalent maybe?
Yeah, I think memory memory nostalgia was what I was kind of writing about at the time. It actually came from I was writing about roadside memorials, and the original film was going to be about that, and then it changed into something else. But yeah, um, yeah, I think that I forgot what your question was. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Just which theme was sort of maybe perhaps
Oh,
most personal
yeah.
to you?
Yeah, memory and nostalgia and photography. Because I was looking at, I've got uh, like hundreds of photographs that are like some of mine, some of my dad's, some of my granddad's, and then some that I've collected. So I was looking at photography, animation, film, and kind of the overlaps and how they can each be used differently in order to kind of extract different things from memory.
Right. Thank you.
One more question.
I mean, you kind of already replied with your last answer, but I wanted to ask you just because you used a very diverse stylistic approach, like you use photographs, videos, footage, animation, these kind of things, and your film seems to me. Your film seems to me like a very chaotic recollection of memories from the past and everything. I wanted to ask you if you think that this diverse stylistic approach was used because of the chaotic recollection.
Yeah, I think so. I think it felt natural to do it that way, but also from a practical perspective, I'm not. I get quite bored easily, so I would do different things and lots of small things, and then kind of piece them together. Which is I can't really make like a full animated film because I don't have the patience for it. So I would do like little bits of animation instead, and then have found footage and other things. But I think that's why I was kind of working with the framework that I was, because it meant that that kind of worked as a method.
Thanks, Felix. Wonderful. Hans, could you come up with?
We have to do this very quickly because I have a screening in
Right.
12 minutes.
Okay.
But I need 10 minutes to clear everything and get ready.
We will be super fast with our last. As I say,
Can be
by all means,
fast.
please hang about afterwards and chat to the filmmakers. Yeah. Yeah. Hello, Hans, and you and Simon, am I right? Yeah, hello, Simon, as well. And you're the people behind Always Summer, which was our penultimate film tonight. So, yeah, as we say, sorry, we are going to have to be a little bit pacey. But yeah, really enjoyed your film, and particularly the cast. You had two magnificent actors in Tim and Flo. How did you find them?
Tom, I knew for a long time, and the main theme, perhaps behind, how film is about a little bit, also the hands. Perhaps what last person was talking about. It's about mental health, taking care of your being. And Tom reminded me of one of my best friends who unfortunately 5 years ago stepped out of life. And for me, to answer the question you asked most, was to overcome that grief, those questions about his way of thinking, and being a dad of two beautiful daughters, and making that decision and doing something with it. And I'm sorry that something like this had to become to make a movie like this about him. And it was for me a creativity relief to make this short film. And when I look at Tom, he was away when he read the script. He was away with the boat, and he said, I read it, and my wife also, and if I like it, I do it. And if not, I'm going to be honest, he's very straightforward. He read it, he said, my woman cried, and I was, wow, in shock, I'm really going to do it. And then I said, Tom, okay, thank you, but when am I going to come back? Because the shooting is the 23rd, 4th, and 5th of September 2022. And he was away with his boat to Liverpool until the 1st of October. And he said, okay, but you want to shoot with Danny Elson, the DOP. You see, I feel the colors. I really love the way he did it. Really process, very intense. And he said, but you want to shoot with Danny? He said, yes, okay, I will come back for you 1 week before with his boat. I said, okay, one more thing. Please leave your beard grow. So we shaved the same moment, and we the process when he came back for 5-6 weeks, he was away with his boat. We let it grow. We show each other, while I let my beard also grow with him. But he's a lookalike of my best friend who stepped out of life. So it was very confronting, but also he was very enamored. I don't know. It was very. And even for me, it was also a year ago I saw this movie, and I really, wow, I was thinking about him also. And I lost a couple of friends on short notice, so it was for me something to get out of my system. Wow.
Well, it's yeah, it was certainly very, very, very moving. I wish we could talk about it longer, but I'm afraid we're really, really pushed for time now. So, but please, people, please have a word with Hans afterwards. Thank you ever so much. Could we very quickly have Jesse up, please? Hi Jesse, and you brought us Off Peak.
I did, yeah.
Could you just super briefly tell us, like, what was your aim in making the film?
It was mainly just an observation of where I live and how life there is so determined by the seasons and the tourist season and winter. And it was just an observation of that. Not necessarily a bad or good one. So there is downsides to it. So lots of people have second homes and things like that. But yeah, it was just an observation of how life down there is changed by the
I
seasons.
thought it was ironic that the toy shop was called Seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was a particular challenge in filming it?
I think I was thinking of this, but I couldn't really think of one. Out of all the films that I've made, this was really one that presented the least. It was just shot over 2 nights, just me on my own. I was 17 when I made it, so I just got my mum to drop me off and leave me for a couple of hours, and just did that for 2 nights, and then slowly cut it together.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, I think we'd better wind up, or else we're going to get booted out on our backsides in the kindest most gentle way possible. But thank you once again so much to all our filmmakers. Please do hang about, talk amongst yourselves, and thank you, Jesse. And thank you all for coming. It wouldn't have been the same without you.
Where was it? Devon. Yes, I liked it. I've seen you film quite a lot more. I'd like to see the.
Yeah,
the
10
minutes worth would have been good. I like you there. Yeah. I like it.
Hey Tom. Good, how are you? How was fun?
Yeah,
Because I looked that place up and is it new? Beth Wall?